My name is Harry Ivory,
Where are we at right now?
Rendville, Ohio, in the town hall. I'm from Rendville, Ohio. I was born here, 1952. Um, I grew up here, went to school here to third grade, and then we moved to Columbus. But growing up here, it was great to me. I loved it. I didn't know anything about any racial problems or anything. I was too young. I was a kid, so we were taken care of by everybody. It was just a big family here in Renville.
So, how old were you when you left the community?
I was 8 years old.
And what do you remember about going to Columbus?
It was scary. It was really scary to me. As a big culture shock. I never experienced anything like Columbus. It was way too big. I was used to Renville and the hills and the trees and running in the woods and stuff like that. I couldn't do that in Columbus. Well, there's just my mom and her kids, so she was just a stay-at-home mom.
She took care of y'all.
Yeah, she took care of us. Yeah.
Did you have to get, as y'all got older, did you have to get work in Columbus?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Talk about that. What kind of work did you end up doing?
Well, I ended up working at a dry cleaners for 15 years. Then went worked for the state of Ohio for 30 years. So now I'm retired.
What was the name of the dry cleaners?
Swan Cleaners. Okay, here's the story with that.
Okay.
My brother worked at Swan Cleaners, right? So I would get out of school and I would go down to the cleaners and hang out with him. So one day he was like, "Hey man, I showed you how to press these clothes. I got to make a run. Just stay here and press these clothes for me. I'll be right back." So while I'm standing there pressing clothes, now I don't work for Swan Cleaners. The owner comes in.
How old were you?
I was 15. And he's like, "Who are you?" "Tommy's brother." He's like, "Where's Tommy?" I said, "He stepped out for a second." He's like, "Want a job?" So I said, "Yeah." So I started working at Swan Cleaners.
Did Tommy keep his job?
Tommy, Tommy was working at Swan Cleaners, but he was also working at another cleaners, and he had to run to the other cleaners to do some work. So he was getting two paychecks,
Double dipping.
double dipping, yes. I still have family here now.
You still have family here
Yes.
now. Would you come back regularly?
I would come back as often as I could. When we first moved to Columbus, I would come back and spend the summers down here with my uncle and actually his dad. And after a while, I would start just coming down once every other summer. You know, the older I got, the more I started spending time up in Columbus. But I made it down here as much as I could. And still to this day, I come down here as much as I can.
Is there something when you're not here that you think about?
Yes, I think about how peaceful it is. I sit on my back porch a lot because it's got a lot of trees out there, and it reminds me of sitting down here in Renville. So I love the outside. I love to be outside, and that's where I try to spend most of my time. And Renville is where I would like to spend most of my time. Actually, I love it here.
Talk about some of these items that you found and looked through, and some of the things that stick out in your mind in that material history.
Right. The articles that stick out in my mind mostly are the letters, the personal letters written by my family from Virginia, where they're actually from. The relatives in Virginia wrote the relatives here, and them writing back and forth to their moms when my uncles and stuff would go off to another city working. They would write their mother and she would write them back, and it's just great reading that stuff because it's my family, for one.
And were they coal miners? Were the men in the family coal miners?
Um, no, I don't think they were. Not that part of the family. They would go off and get different types of jobs. One guy joined my uncle Hiram joined the army in World War One during World War One, so he was gone with the army. Uncle Joe was a self-taught person. He could speak 5 languages. He taught himself all kinds of stuff, and he would go to different cities and work.
You think that, like, he picked up speaking all those languages from being in coal camp, Italians and Hungarians?
That may have been, but I think it was more he just went to books
Oh,
and learned how to do it.
he taught himself.
Taught himself, yes.
Well, you want to make sure people know.
That Rendville was an important community in southern Ohio here. Like Janice was saying before, there's a lot of history here, and that we don't want to lose that history. I would like to see the buildings come back along the streets and up the hill, the way they were when I grew up here.
Restoration.
Yes. That's what hurts me the most when I come here is everything's gone. Everything got tore down. There's, 3 or 4 buildings that's here now that was originally here before.